She may be a whore, but she's still my mother. It was just really something burning in our heart. You know, it was something we had talked about for a while. We had a church. That church was doing really well, but we kind of felt like God was expanding our territory to really reach both Camden City and Camden County. So we spent a season of prayer, just kind of talking about it. And this whole notion of Accelerate Church just kind of came to mind. And so I would say it happened over a process of time through a lot of prayer, discernment, talking to wise counsel. That's kind of how we distilled the idea. So I'm born and raised in South Jersey, right? Burlington, right? You gotta say it like, you gotta scrunch up your face a little bit when you say it like, it's really Burlington, not Burlington. But yeah, I'm from here, you know, and Cherry Hill Mall, which is right around the area where we want to start the church, is where I would go when I was in high school, right? Like you know, you would put on your bold jeans with your long Galaxy t-shirt, you know what I'm saying, with the bandana on, with the, you know, because that's when Dipset and all them was hot, and you would go hang out, you know. So I always thought that I'd be the type of person that was going to move out of South Jersey, like, I'm done. But I just love it, and I love the people, and it just really hurts me, like when I walk through that very same mall that I see, you know, I'm like, man, a lot of these people don't know Jesus, man. They just haven't encountered a God that can totally transform their life, bring them new hope and joy and satisfaction. And yeah, so I'm happy that God has, you know, kind of put it back on my heart, and I'm hoping to see something crazy here. I am perhaps in the bottom 10th of homeschool parents. I just gotta tell you, I'm not that great out of it, but shout out to ABC Mouse, shout out to the iPad, shout out to all you wonderful teachers on YouTube that will put your lessons on there. I could prop my kid right in front of it. My daughter learned how to read during the pandemic. My son learned how to count past 12 in the pandemic because of those videos, man. I am deeply indebted to all the content creators for children out there. But yeah, I mean, the pandemic was hard on anybody. You know, you're kind of grieving in a space of isolation where you're away from people. There's this uncertainty that's transpiring. People are nervous and apprehensive, and you're not around people, man. That was really, really tough. But what made it nice was that I got to be with my family, which is the group of people that I want to be with more than anybody in the world. Yeah, I think one of the big things we can do, and I'm sure there's a lot of churches that do this well, but in the continuum of Christianity, I think we do a lot of preaching, but we don't do enough listening. And by listening, I mean what Peter Cesaro calls incarnational listening, like actually being in the moment, not being distracted by our phones, and listening to the concerns, the problems, and the burdens of other people. You know, I think if we have a genuine sense in which we care about what we would consider the other, I think that's a tremendous bridge that the church can build and be the beacon of light that God intended it to be from the very beginning. So I know for us, that's what we really want to do, is not just preach, but we want to listen, and we want to answer the questions that the culture is asking, not answer questions that we think they're asking. Yeah, I think that there's a bunch of them. But I think the big one is the credibility bridge. People are just wondering, why should I be a part of a church? Because I get that same type of community from CrossFit and other civic organizations, like why the church? And I think we've got to show, again, that the church is this relevant entity where God, you know, in his providence has chosen to show off the fullness of who he is. And to really display the fullness of his personality and want people to be a part of his family. So I think that's one of the big things is, yeah, we've got to get our credibility back, you know? In the words of Augustine, she may be a whore, but she's still my mother. And he's talking about the church, so. So I think for me, I'm looking to cultivate an environment that we would describe as a little slice of heaven. where you have all these different people from different backgrounds, different histories, ethnicities, who were all once, lost children of God who've been all welcome home. And that's why we use the phraseology, welcome home. So for me, I want us to be able to, one of the ways that you can create a diverse community is by discussing, dealing with, addressing some of the issues within that community, right? I don't think it's gonna be easy. I think it's gonna be messy at times. I think we might fight with each other. We might not get along. We might differ over opinions, but as long as the scriptures are our foundation, and as long as we lean into these issues and not try to pull away, I think we'll create that family that God, or that I believe God has intended for us to have in South Jersey here. We're in a place right now, I think we're in a racial milieu, if you will, where there's a lot of animosity between African Americans and whites, right? Like in one sense, post George Floyd, post Ahmaud Arbery, there has been like life just can't go back to normal. Now there's like a concentrated racial animus. On one side, people are like, no, social justice all the way. Nah, there's injustices in our society. We've got to do something about it. The church is indifferent. On the other side, there's many of my white siblings that are like, yo, we don't understand. How come it's not all lives matter? Like, how come we're only specifying specific lives? And what I believe is that we have to be the type of church that steps into that tension, right? We have to be the type of church that is willing to go places where others will not go, like not to just do the mass appeal approach, but actually address those issues that are creating division amongst us. Like there's class issues, there's race issues, there's different philosophies on justice and politics. And I believe that the church, if we're gonna be that racially diverse family, we have to be the ones that are stepping into the tension, bringing clarity, and talk about how Jesus is over all of those things, but how they uniquely impact and affect people in our culture and society. All right, so here's the thing. All right, so I think in the South, they give their kids some of the worst nicknames in the world, right? So my dad, Ernest, was named after some town drunk, right? The dude's name was Ernest Cleo. My grandpa's name is Grant, right? But they would call my dad, his nickname is Hoochie, right? Like, yes, I don't know. I've got a uncle whose nickname is Sugar Meat. Yes, I know. Uncle Sugar Meat, I don't call him that. Especially as a grown man, I won't call him that. But I think like Ernest Cleo Grant, somebody just named him that. And I'm the second. My son is Chancellor Grant because whereas I love my dad, I just didn't want that name to continue on. And plus, I don't like the nickname Ernie. I can't stand that name. It makes me sound like a cartoon character or a little boy, and I don't like either. So. I'm really disgusted by it. Really disgusted. Really hoochie. That's what they call it. Like hoochie. That's what they call it. Hoochie.
Oh my God.
Or they'll call me Little Hoochie. And I'll be like, Little Hoochie? Nah, bro. Ethnicity. Okay, so my dad is Spades Black, and my mom is quiche white, right? So I am a racially diverse person even though I'm not racially ambiguous like some of my mixed cousins and brothers and sisters, like I look African American, but yeah, my dad is a black man. My mom was white, even though, God rest her soul, she really believed that she was black, even though she wasn't. But God rest her soul. I loved her. I loved that she did her thing. But she had blonde hair and hazel eyes. She was sweet as pie. And yeah, they got together. They had me, and here I am. Most embarrassing moment. My most embarrassing moment happened earlier this year. I was preparing a sermon, and it was pre-recorded, so I recorded it on Thursday. And I'm in this garage, I'm hot, I'm cooking. I don't have any air conditioning, it's in the middle of a heat wave. And I got the camera on, And I just I get mad, I start cussing. I just do. I'm tired of this, boom, 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 boom. Here's the clip right here, just because I know you're curious.
Just did this, man.
So yes, so like I'm in there, I'm cursing, I'm angry, and that clip, my videographer, whom I love, didn't remove it in time. And that clip got sent out on the airways during the middle of a church service. And I got so many text messages and calls like, hey, Pastor, you good? I had to send out like a formal apology. I thought it was over. I thought it was over. I was like, dear Jesus, like, am I done in ministry? It was so embarrassing. But now I can look back and well, I don't laugh about it as much because it's still like a sore spot. I'm working on that with my therapist. But, you know, it was, I thought it was over for you, boy. I believe that it's very important to have Jesus and a therapist. I do believe that, right? I believe that God is He's the wonderful counselor. So there are certain things that you can sit down in a quiet time with the Lord and really work through, right? Especially like I really spend a lot of time doing the contemplative rhythms, right? There's something called internal examination where I'm, trying to dig into the recesses of my soul to kind of figure out why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. I'm asking myself questions. It's like self-probing. So there are times when I'm able to, have a spiritual enema right there with me and Jesus. But there are certain times that I don't even realize that I'm grieving, and I have these ungrieved griefs. So it's nice to sit down with a therapist to be able to elicit those broken areas in your life and have a conversation and really help you get to the root of why you feel the way you feel, right? Like the big thing for me, I tell you, the greatest counseling session in the Bible happened in John 4. Right, where Jesus meets the woman at the well. She's obviously burdened with all this shame-based behavior. She's coming to the well, in the middle of the day when it's cooking. There's no women with her as she goes, right? And then Jesus gets it, Jesus starts asking her about this idea of living water. And she's like, yes, give me some living water. I'm ready to do it. And then he says, go get your husband. And then she's like, I don't have a husband. I don't have a husband. And he says, you're right, you have 5. And the one that you have now is not your husband. Like what Jesus did in that counseling session is he zoomed in to the area in her life that hurt the most, and that was her family. And I think sometimes a good counselor has the ability to zoom into an area that really hurts in your life so that you can experience the floodgate of freedom and joy. And for me, counseling is absolutely necessary. I can't say F you by CeeLo Green, can I? Oh, favorite karaoke song is definitely Beyonce, Love on Top. I can sing, now I can't, all right, so I don't know how many times, what is it called when they keep on going up octaves or whatever? Like, whatever that is called. Modulate, is that what it's called? What is it called? Modulate. I can't do all those different modulations that she does, but I really like to sing the song, and I will look foolish doing it, but it's definitely a lot of fun. So Beyonce, Love on Top. Shout out to you, Beyonce. Accelerate Church, September 12th. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so I'm always looking for little clues in the culture to tune me in to what I need to talk about on Sunday. Right? So I remember not so long ago, Lil Nas X had I think it's called Montero video, where he's gyrating on Satan and, he's twerking on him and all that type of stuff. And that just gave me great content to be able to talk about on Easter Sunday of all Sundays, right? Right? So I think the main line I used was, we can talk about, we can chastise Lil Nas X for his sexuality, but the truth is that we all have a little Old Town Road in us. So what I'm doing is I go to Complex News, I go to New York Times, I go to a lot of media outlets, and I'm trying to figure out what problem the culture has, and then bring it back to the Word and discuss how the scriptures have a solution. So my big thing is I kind of look to culture, then I move to the scriptures, and then I'm really like thinking about the passage, the historical contents, the language of the passage, how it's written, the genre, all those things. I'm really just thinking about it and meditating. And it's amazing how when you do that with the scriptures, you can get crystal clear on what it's trying to say and come up with a principle to address any systemic ill in our culture. I don't believe in a work-life balance. I think that's some American, westernized view of how you're to live your life, right? What I believe in is rhythms. I have a rhythm of I work hard and then I rest hard, right? Like I kind of take it from the children of Israel. You know, they worked hard 6 days a week, but when it came to that Sabbath, they were chilling hard. They didn't do any work, they didn't do any labor. They spent time with their family and their community doing things that they really love. So the big thing for me is I'm less concerned about being balanced, because there'll be some seasons where you just have to work harder in it. Like you just gotta work hard in that season. Like if you're in school, if you've got kids, if you're married, any of those things, and like they're all compounded, sometimes you're gonna work hard. But I try to create little pockets where I can rest, be rejuvenated as well. So one of the big things, like I don't think you have to be involved in every organization, but I think one thing that we all can do is really be a good neighbor. You know, and this, you know, one of the things I try to do is just to get to know my neighbors. You know their names, know their kids, say hi. Like the other day we had an event where we had a bunch of, you know, sandwiches from Chick-fil-A, and I just knocked on my neighbor's door and we just were able to take the food over there. He's got a lot of kids, and you know, it was a real blessing to him. I think everything starts from developing relationships with people. Like we cannot say that we care about the gospel and we want to share the gospel with people if we do not have a legitimate sense in which we care about them and want to see them prosper and do well. So I mean, little things you could do like that we've done is like cut their grass, bring in their trash cans. When we cook, you know, bring some food over, even though you can't eat everybody's food. Right? We can agree on that. You can't eat everybody's food. And they might take some of my food and throw it away, but it's the thought that counts, right? Where I just want them to know that I care about them, I love their kids, and I love and appreciate them. And I think that happens in the context of building relationship.